Hey, welcome back to the Stebbins Garage YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm in my 92 Firebird. We're gonna go for a little drive and I'm gonna show you a secret that this engine has been hiding that I haven't really shown you. And then hopefully we're gonna get that taken care of. Mexico. Yeah, it's smoking pretty bad. And I've tried with the tune and all that stuff. It's not the tune, it's definitely something mechanical. I knew that wasn't going to be my long-term engine anyway. Well, the LS is here. We just picked it up from the dealership. There's Clayton. He has a truck. He was the man. So we've got it here on the bed. Got my engine hoist. I think it'll be high enough. If not, we'll pull it back in the back and pull it off with my lift. But again, LS3 430, we're gonna do a cam and a bunch of other stuff. So I guess we'll go ahead and get this thing off. It's Bill from the future. I thought I'd give some clarity on the LS that I just showed you. So that is an LS3 long block. The plan is to go ahead and swap all the accessories and all the other things that we can over from the other motor. This is a brand new LS3 long block from GM. It's the 435 horse base model. We're gonna do a cam and a whole bunch of other stuff to it. So I didn't want to spend the money for the extra one. So anyway, what you're gonna see is me getting the engine all set up to go in the car. There's a quick look at where we are today. Probably, I think this is going to be 4 episodes ahead, what you'll see here. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the content. All right, so the engine's in here in my shop now. What I need to do next is go ahead and put my engine stand back together. That's that thing over there. We're going to put the stand, the rotating part of the stand, onto the engine, and then we'll lift that onto the stand. That way we can get it off of this big old pallet and get the cherry picker out of here for now. Then we'll go over kind of what the plan is for this engine for that 92. But let's go ahead and get that on the stand. So I've been ordering a whole lot of parts for this build, and I thought I'd show you some of the parts that I got in and explain what they're for. So first up, this is an injector harness. When you go to a Gen 4 fuel injector like the LS3 uses, it needs a different connector. They do make adapters. I think the adapters are ugly and they might introduce some problems. This was about 50 bucks more than just buying the adapters. So that's that. Pilot bearing, we're gonna need that for the clutch. Got a set of brand new stock LS3 fuel injectors. A huge thank you to Seth Starbuck for sending those to me. Really appreciate him doing that for me. That'll help us get that thing going. This is a MAP sensor extension. So on the LS3 intake, the MAP sensor is in the front of the intake. On what I have, which is an LS6, it's on the rear. So this will just extend the wiring further forward. Okay, this. On the Gen 3 LS, the 5.3 that we're running right now, the camshaft position sensor is in the rear. On the Gen 4, it is up front in the timing cover, and the wires are actually reversed. So I bought this adapter from Jolt Enterprises, and essentially you just plug this into the Holley, and then this plugs into the cam sensor on the front. The wires are already flipped, so two of the wires, the outer wires, are opposite on the Gen 4 for some reason. I don't know why. So that'll take care of that. And then they also include this, which is the crankshaft position sensor connector. I don't know if I'm going to use this. You can see there is a little slot in there, and if you look inside the Gen 4 crankshaft position sensor, there's a little slot that corresponds with that. The Gen 3 will slide right in if on the sensor you just slice that out, so probably going to do that instead and just make it easier. We also have these. These are coil pack connectors, harnesses. I got these from Pro Touring Store. These are OEM. I'm probably going to take the electrical tape off. I could have used the ones on my Gen 3. However, given that those are kind of old and we're doing a brand new engine, I didn't really want to have to worry about whether or not there was an issue with the wiring. So these were $100 for the pair. I figured I'd go ahead and spend the money. Next up, spark plugs. We got some TR6IXs. These are Iridium NGKs. Got 8 of those from Rock Auto. And then finally, we got these. And you might be saying to yourself, well, doesn't that engine already have valve covers? Yes. Don't we have some coil packs? Yes. But again, I don't want to be messing with old stuff, especially since that other engine was not quite the way that we wanted it to be. So our friends at Hawks has these available. These are LSA valve covers, and just like what's on my CTSV. And then you can buy them with all 8 coil packs. These are AC Delco coil packs. This one's just mounted backwards because it's going to have to come off anyway to get those out. So anyway, we're going to be painting those. I'm just going to paint them black, red, and then some 2K clear. I've got both sides, obviously. I thought about removing the boss, but it looks like that's more trouble than it's worth to remove these two because it goes kind of far down in there. So we're not going to be removing that. But these will clean it up. There's no bracket or anything that we need. This one here, we will probably need to make a custom bracket, 3D printed one, in order to be able to fit or clear the AC box on the 92. So anyway, that's the parts that I have right now. We're going to probably be getting some more stuff in. I still need to order a couple of other things, but just some miscellaneous stuff. So let's go ahead and get these valve covers stripped down, and I'm going to go ahead and sand them, try and get them a little smoother in a couple spots, and then we'll shoot them with some color and some clear. All right, we got those valve covers ready to go ahead and prime and paint. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this ugly electrical tape, and we're gonna wrap these with some of my favorite Tessa tape. It's just a cloth tape. That'll look a lot nicer, cleaner, and I think it protects a little better too. So we'll go ahead and get these stripped down and then rewrapped. Okay, that harness is all done, ready to go in the car. If you're wondering what it looked like before, that is the harness with electrical tape. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but I think I prefer it with the Tessa tape. So next up, these are my LSA valve covers. I went through with a small little roll-lock disc, cleaned up the flashing, hit them with a red scuff pad. So I'm going to go ahead and prime these. I've got some acid etch primer just because this is bare aluminum, and These little pink things are just paint masks that I whipped up on the Cricut real quick, so that, you know, the paint isn't where I don't want it. These bosses here are not used, so they're going to be red. I've seen people take these off. This one goes all the way through, and I don't really want to fool with trying to weld it. And that one's kind of hidden by the coil anyway. So we're going to go ahead and get that acid etch primer on here. Okay, we're getting ready to spray the clear on this. We're using 2K clear, so I've already popped the bottom so that the accelerant or the hardener or whatever mixes in here. Now we just got to mix it for a little bit, and then we're going to put a few coats on here, and these will be nice and shiny and well protected. Okay, I have finally gotten this package I was waiting for a whole day from Brian Tooley Racing. They're semi-local to me, so anything I order only takes a day, which is awesome. I ordered a big sticker. Let's see what we got. Oh, holy cow! Look at that sticker! But wait, there's more. What do we have here? I have a cam kit for my project. I can't believe it. Okay, so let's talk about what I got. This is our crossover tube. It's a coolant crossover tube for the front of the LS3. This is an LS2 style tensioner for the timing chain. The LS3 uses a single bolt cam, and so I had to get a sprocket so that we could use the 3-bolt cam, and it had to get the bolts for it as well. A couple of bolts for the crossover tube. Pneumatic valve holder for when we go to swap the springs. Got some valve springs. This is our push rods, stock length. This is our Trunnion upgrade. And finally, we got a Red Hot, BTR Red Hot. So our LS3 crate motor is gonna be pretty darn nasty. At least it's gonna sound that way. I think it'll make good power. And I can't wait to get started on it. So you might wonder what's in these packages. Let me run through it real quick. These are our upgraded springs. These are dual springs. I got the titanium retainers because for one thing, they weren't much more they save a little weight. They're supposed to be pretty strong, and they were out of the other ones, so I didn't have much of a choice. This also comes with spring locators. It also comes with keepers. So we'll do all that. This is the stock hardened, or these are stock length push rods. They're hardened. They'll stand up to the increased lift of our camshaft a little better. And then this is a trunnion upgrade, and we'll put this on the rockers. This will actually allow them to spin properly. These are sealed bearings rather than the needle bearings that are in the stock ones that are typically will break apart on you. So that's all the main stuff. We're going to move on to putting the cam kit in, and hopefully that won't take too long. It should be pretty fun. All right, I'm back in the garage. It's time to start working on the LS3. Let's go ahead and get that trunnion kit upgraded, and we'll do the rest of the stuff today. Hopefully, I've got my little friends with me. Say hi to Heidi and Baylor. So let's get it done. Shoo-wee. Brand new stuff. All right, one thing I'm going to mention real quick before I pull these rockers off. Notice these are offset. I believe, let's see, we've got exhaust and intake. The intake ones are offset, and I think that's just because of the sizing of the valves. You can see this is a brand new long block, so they've still got assembly lube on all that stuff. We're actually going to be pulling all this off and replacing all the springs, the keepers, the retainers. The valve seals have to be changed too because of the BTR kit. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those off. We'll do the trunnion upgrade first, and then we'll go through and do all the valve springs. All right, well, there's the pile of old stuff. There's our new trunnion install. So I'm not gonna go through this. I've already done this once on a video. You can go back to the install for that. I've just got one more side to do, and then these will be good. You can see these needle bearings are everywhere as soon as that thing comes apart. And I've actually had one come apart before on another engine, and it makes a mess in your engine. So this is definitely a worthwhile upgrade. It allows these to spin as much as they need to. So definitely a worthwhile upgrade. We'll go ahead and do the other 8, and then we'll be ready to go. All right, I'm gonna do one of these in real time, just so you can see the process if you haven't watched the other video. It's really straightforward. I have the tool to press out the bearing. You can use some other stuff, but I do this enough that I bought the tool, and it's worth it to me. So, all right, so that's all that happens, and then watch this. See all those little needle bearings? Yeah, you don't want those going through your engine. All right, so next up, we're gonna put this tool back in here. We're gonna press a bearing in for one side. For this, I just use the tool on one side and a washer on the other, and that ensures that it gets pressed in flush. I'm gonna kind of snug that up just a hair. All right. You'll notice the numbers, you probably can't see, but the numbers are outside. That's important. All right, next up, we're going to take a trunnion This is the trunnion. And we're going to push that on through. And then I'm going to take this bearing again with the numbers on the outside. You can tell it's the right way because, oh, got a little trash on there. You can tell it's the right way because there's an opening there, it's flat there. So you want the flat part out. We're gonna go ahead and push that on here. And then I'm going to hold it with my finger and put that washer on there. So once I put it in the tool, I need to make sure that that thing is sticking out enough to where it'll allow it to pass through the washer. And then I just take it like this, press it till it won't go anymore. All right, and then there's our trunnion. So now it runs 360 degrees. Let me show you one of the old ones. That's as much movement as it has, so it's possible for those to break and then those needle bearings come out. We don't want that. All right, and then finally, we're going to put snap rings on there. That keeps the bearings from popping out, keeps the trunnions centered in there. So I like to just get them about like that, take a socket and just tap it so that it goes on there. And I check them, you can see it just spins. So we want it to be free to spin. And then we'll do this last one. I always make sure that it's there, and then there we go. All right, so that's all 16 of those done and ready to go back on the car once the cam swap is done. The next step is going to be to change the valve springs, and we'll have to get our compressed air. We're going to fill each cylinder individually with air as we go along. I have a compressor tool to take the springs loose. We need to change the valve springs. We'll get those off. I need to change the valve seals, and we need to change the seat as well. So I've got all that from the BTR kit, and we'll do that next. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and swap out these springs. So I've got my tool here. This will press down on the spring so we can release the keepers and then take the springs out. However, we don't want the valves to drop. So I've got this, we're gonna hook air to it. It's gonna push air up into the cylinder, and that'll keep the valves closed while we do the rest of it. These are our parts that we're going to do. So we've got a dual spring. There's different seats because of the way that the spring is. These are the brand new keepers. These are valve stem seals. So we'll have to dip those in some oil and put them on. And then these are titanium retainers for the spring. So we're going to go ahead and air this up and do this first one. All right, back at it. A little bit ago, you saw me do all the trunnion kit install. I've just put the valve covers back on just to keep everything covered up. Next up, we're gonna move on to doing the cam kit. So we're gonna pull the balancer off. We're gonna pull the front cover. We're gonna pull the old cam and cam gear. We've got a brand new BTR Red Hot cam to go in here with a 3-bolt cam gear, and we'll get that installed now. Fingers crossed. Okay, front cover's off. you can see everything's pretty much brand new. So we're going to be switching out this tensioner. I think I can just pull those bolts, hopefully. I hope I don't have to take off the oil pump too, but we're gonna go ahead and pull this cam gear. I've already set this thing dot to dot, so right down there you can see there's a dot and there's a dot, so we're pretty much right where we need to be, so I need to go ahead and pull this cam gear. All right, so there's our single bolt cam. We're not gonna reuse that because everything is a 3-bolt. So what we're gonna need to do next, I'm gonna pull this tensioner, and then we're gonna put a new tensioner on, and we just need to make sure the crank doesn't move. And then once we set up our new cam, it's gonna be in that same position. We'll line up dot to dot and we should be good. Okay, so what I've discovered is that the oil pump actually has to come forward so that I can get the tensioner off. So I've got to pull the pan. So we're gonna just go ahead and do this. In case you're wondering why I pulled the pan, it's pretty simple. If I pull the pan, I can pull one bolt and get the whole pickup tube off without taking it loose from the pump. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, check that. I had to pull the bolt for the pickup because it won't clear this. So we're just gonna kind of finagle this enough to where we can slide the whole thing off. I'm gonna kind of snug this back up as much as I can, and then we'll go back and reseat that later. But we're just basically gonna pull the pump, and because the engine's out of the car, it doesn't really cause a whole lot of problems. So there's our whole assembly. We'll set that aside for now. All right. So I'm gonna set our timing chain here. We've got the LS2 style tensioner that we're gonna put in. And so now it's pretty easy to get to. We're just gonna pull these 2 bolts. All right, and quick comparison. This is the LS3 style. This is the LS2 style. And so it's basically just gonna go back in pretty much just like that, I think. I need to make sure I get the correct orientation. I think it's like that, actually. We'll put some Loctite on this just to be safe. Apparently these things here are kind of flimsy and they tend to break, and then you lose chain tension, and so we're trying to avoid that. Good thing is, when I go to do the cam, since I already have the motor upside down, I don't have to worry about lifters falling. We'll just spin the cam, pull it out, and then the lifters are actually down in the bores and they can't fall out. So I got some rods for that, but we don't even need them. All right, so I've got the cam retainer plate off. I've spun the cam. The lifters are, gravity's pulling those, so I don't even need to do anything to keep those in place. I flipped it upside down because we had to get the oil pump off to get to the tensioner bolts. Not a big deal because this is out of the car. So that pretty much is all we needed to do there. So we're ready to go ahead and pull this cam. And once I get the cam out, like I said, the lifters are going down, so gravity's gonna hold them. I've spun it a few times just to kind of force them back into their holes. But this is a brand new engine, so we're gonna go ahead and start to pull this thing out, and it'll be a little tedious. I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. We want to just go slow so I don't nick any cam journals or cam bearings. And then the process for putting the new cam in will be basically the same thing. That should be almost there. One more. And there we go. There's our LS3 cam. Still looks brand new because it is, but we're not doing stock here. All right, so if you're wondering why I pulled this upside down, right in there are our lifters, and right now gravity is keeping those in the bores. If we had it upside down, there's a chance that one of those could fall out and into the pan, and then really the only way to get that back in is to pull the head, and we don't want to do that. So doing it this way allows us to have gravity do the work for us. We already had the engine out of the car because we haven't installed it yet. So this is just the best way. So now we're ready. We can go ahead and do our reverse cam install, which means we put it back in, and then we'll be good to go. All right, as I mentioned, I've got the BTR Red Hot cam. We've got a 3-bolt cam gear along with new bolts for that. So we're gonna go ahead and get this stuff out of the packaging and get this ready to go. All right, here's our Red Hot. It probably doesn't look any different to you, but those cam lobe profiles are a lot more aggressive. So we're gonna go ahead and clean this up, and then we're gonna put assembly lube on it, and then we're gonna put it back in the engine. There's not really much to say about that. You just want to get it clean. It should be clean from the factory. One thing I've found is that the packaging that it comes in is good to retain all that assembly lube. So I'm going to go ahead and lift this thing up, hold it over the table, clean it up real quick, and then we're going to put some assembly lube on it, put some bolts in the end so we can kind of guide it, and then we'll be good to go. All right, I have put lube on part of this. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna lube the other half, then I'm gonna kind of work it in. It's important to have this thing covered in this assembly lube. That way everything goes smoothly and we don't nick anything, we don't cause any damage at all, because this is a pretty expensive long block and I don't want to have to do this again. So, all right, so I've got basically half of the cam covered. We'll do the rest once we get it in. So I'm gonna go ahead and start to feed it in. And the good thing with brand new engines is it's pretty straightforward to slide stuff in. There's not a lot of, there's not anywhere, so we'll just keep moving it in. And just like that, we're almost there. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit more lube on all of the lobes. We'll run that in, and then we'll put our timing chain back on, put our oil pump back on, and we will be pretty much there as far as the cam install, other than doing our push rods and installing the rockers again. One critical thing with this is when you're doing it, if it gets stuck, all you really need to do is just rotate it a little bit. And now normally you would put the dot looking this way, but because we're upside down, we're going to put the dot this way. And then I'm going to go ahead and ditch these gloves because they are covered in it. And then I'm going to grab some new gloves and we'll put the cam retainer plate on. All right, so now that our cam is in there, what we want to do next is go ahead and get our retainer plate, and that's going to go like this because we're upside down. And then once that's in, I'm going to go ahead and put some Loctite on the bolts, and we'll torque those to spec, which is I think it's 11 foot-pounds for the Torx ones. It's not a whole lot, so I'll probably use one of my small torque wrenches because I get a little nervous when I'm doing torque specs and they're really small and I've got a big wrench because it's really hard to tell. So we'll probably grab my 1/4 inch and just do those. All right, I'm gonna wipe this off just so we don't have any crud get in here. All right, take that. Okay, so this will keep our cam in place. We'll get the gear on it. This is I guess the 3rd cam install I've done in my whole life. The first one we did on my 99 Firehawk, we did it in the car, and that is not a fun time. All right, I'm gonna run these in with my little M12. I'm not gonna torque them or anything with this. I'm just gonna run them in. Okay. So now we can go ahead and torque those to 11 foot-pounds according to our handy dandy chart from BTR. Okay, a quick Google check says 11 foot-pounds is 132 inch-pounds. So we're just gonna go around and start to snug these up. And that's pretty much all that there is. There's not a lot. We'll go around again just to make sure. Okay, that's all for those. Okay, I've got my bolts prepped to go in, so now the next step is I'm gonna drop the chain on here. I've already set the cam where I think it should be. I'm gonna be looking to line up this red dot with the blue dot on the cam. I'm sorry, on the crank, on that. So we're gonna go ahead and see if we can nail this the first time. Okay. So we got that. Our dots are lined up. All right. Our little pin is lined up. Let's see if our bolt will start in. Our cam is pushed in just a little bit. There we go. I've already got Loctite on all these bolts. We are dot to dot, so that's one of the reasons I love these LSs, because idiots like me can work on them. All right, and then these get torqued to 26 foot-pounds. And I'm gonna figure out what that is on whatever torque wrench I'm gonna use. All right, I had to pause because I couldn't find a 12.8 millimeter. Well, it turns out 5/16 is the same thing, and I had one in the attic, so I guess I should have been prepared for that. So we've got the torque wrench. We're gonna go ahead and torque these down. These, the camshaft sprocket for the 3-bolt is 26 foot-pounds. There we go, 26. Gonna reset that. $26. So we're really good on that. All right, so My torque wrench, it's not a super expensive one, but it allows me to do a bunch of different combinations of foot-pounds and Newton meters and whatever. You just want to have one. This one shows me what the torque spec is, or the torque that I'm putting in as I do it, and then it beeps, obviously. So we're good there. So we're still dot to dot. What we're going to do now is I just want to rotate this sucker around. So we're going to put the bolt back in, and we're going to rotate this around one time and make sure that everything is still where it should be. Or actually, we'll probably rotate it a couple of times. All right, here we go. All right, so we're gonna pop all these things out. So I'm gonna go ahead and take them out. That's the compression kicking out. All right, got all that. And just like that, we're dot to dot. So there we go. Dot to dot means this engine is ready for its oil pump. We'll put the pan back on, and then we can put the top end back together. Okay, torque spec for this guy is 106 inch-pounds. All right, that's all there is to it. Pan's ready to go back on. We got to put some gasket stuff in the corners so we don't have any problems there. All four corners, and then we should be good. Okay, the cam's done, everything's torqued, oil pan's back on, we should be good to go. I guess next we're going to be working on pulling the other stuff apart. That won't be today, but pretty soon that other stuff in the engine compartment of the other one has to be all pulled, and then we'll pull the trans and a bunch of other stuff. So it's time to go ahead and put our rockers on. So I'm going to put our little tray thing here. I've got all of them lined out. I've got the bolts over there, and we're just gonna go along and put those on. We got to drop our push rods in, and then we should be ready to go. All right, everything is together. I didn't film any of that because it's boring, and you can look it up for yourself how to torque these. I did go through and mark all of them as I was doing them. There's a specific sequence, so you want to make sure that you follow those instructions. It's pretty easy to find on the internet, so look it up if you're going to be doing this. We'll go ahead and throw our valve covers back on. This is all ready to go. Pretty much the only thing else I'll need to do is loosen those front cover bolts when I put the balancer on, just to center that. But for now, this engine's going to go sit over there, and we're ready to go ahead and start pulling our other car apart. Okay, so I'm going to cut the video here where we just finished up installing the BTR cam in our LS3 long block. I'm getting ready right now to start on tearing this thing apart so we can put the new engine in. So I'll be working on that over the next 3 weeks, hopefully. It may take me a little longer, but we're going to go ahead and get that swapped. So I figured I'd go ahead and get this content out to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll stick around. I'll see you on the next one.